So, since I uploaded a depressing video, I thought, since Sonic issue number 4 is out, I thought I'd review it. Now, I'm sure many of you remember how I said that Tangle was going to replace Amy in the personality department since Amy, for some reason, got Sally's personality. Now, I wouldn't have minded if they had Amy overgoing some kind of journey to become a stronger woman, but unfortunately they didn't do that, so, hopefully this treats it with more respect than issue 2 did. So let's find out if Tangle is really just an Amy Rose copy. Right now. Like all the other issues, it starts with Sonic running towards a town. Although this time he's at the Great Wall of China. I'm not really quite sure why. I always thought that was taking place in America, or at least what would be considered America at this point in time, but whatever. However, this one decides to give us some foreshadowing, it seems. Cool. Good start, sort of, I guess. However, he does eventually come across Tangle, and fortunately, like with the second issue, the militia isn't made up of a bunch of incompetent idiots, so thank God for that. It also appears that he might have been in shock by the fact that King Julian might have been taking estrogen. Oh my god. Good action. Finally! And it only took 4 fucking issues before they did this. Where'd all the time go into the rest of these? Why couldn't this be the first issue? These action scenes actually flow. There's actually a danger here. There's actually something interesting going on the pages, instead of just a bunch of nonsense and wasted fucking potential. Tangle's introduction, I think, is pretty good. That's good. Although they did decide to reuse a couple of pages. Alright. IDW, let me level with you for 1 second. Don't do this. I get it. $2,000 loss. It's a big problem, but you can do better. I'm just saying, it's not like you didn't put yourself into this mess. But back to Tangle. Her character is what I would describe as what would happen if Amy and Sally melded personalities and became a lemur. But it has none of the charm from Sally, except for the fact that she's obsessed with her mission. So I was partially right. But, like Amy, she also fangirls over Sonic. The ironic thing being is that she's actually much more entertaining than Amy was in much of her post-06 appearances. Yeah, I said it. Amy's boring after 06.
Freaking stop!
It's a machine gun, and it's a laser cannon. How does that work? I want to know how that works. Also, if she's supposed to be a Sonic fan, why is it that she doesn't know Sonic's position in the Resistance? Or that he doesn't have a position in the Resistance? I don't get this line. This line doesn't make any sense. It does not compute. Also, Blaze appears in this comic with no given explanation as to how. But the reason why, I think, would highlight that Blaze needs to be put into a loony bin. Because apparently the Soul Emeralds told her to do that. I don't even know where that power came from, but okay. I guess someone's just insane in the membrane. Now, when I first read this, I thought, why would you put Blaze in there? And I honestly would say it would have made more sense to have Blaze traveling with Sonic because of Sonic Rush, but, adding a new character would be interesting, but unfortunately, we don't get that. Although we do get some more interesting fight scenes nonetheless. And Tangle herself does develop. And I actually do prefer Tangle over Amy. Actually, I think I prefer everyone else over Amy, really, at this point. Except for Cream, she's kind of boring. But yeah, if you had to change Amy's personality to make her useful in the comics, just don't do that. Do what Sonic Adventure 1 did, where she had to overcome a challenge, and then she grew as a character to say, I need to chase around Sonic less, and become more independent of myself. As opposed to what the hell happened in issue number 2, where it just kind of comes out of absolutely nowhere, and considering the context, it feels more like Ian Flynn was just trying to spite SatAM fans, really. And surprised people even still defend him for apparently saving the freedom fighters. It's kind of insane to me. Personally, if I had to change a character out of absolutely nowhere, I would say Big the Cat would be a pretty big contender for that. Because he's voiced by Duke Nukem. There are so many things you could do with that. Heck, it'd probably make more sense than Tangle, because Big has a fishing pole. Fishing poles can be used to grapple. Makes perfect sense to have him act like Duke Nukem in those situations. Especially after the whole resistance thing. I mean, if Amy's allowed to do it apparently, even if she never showed any of those skills and forces, why can't Big? It seems like a missed opportunity here.
My god, I can't only think of the possibilities. It's such a great idea. Think about it. Duke Nukem in anything is just awesome, no matter what you think about it. Oh my god, it's coming right for me.
Ah, crap. Okay, now that that's done it. Wait, was this a recording? Don't! And also, why is it that they had to slingshot Blaze up to there? I'm pretty certain she's capable of flying. But at least we get a Psycho Sonic. Doesn't really make up for all the other crap you've pulled, but it still doesn't. And then Tangle changes into a fan of Blaze. You know, if you're going to say something, you really need to consider keeping on your promises. And then Eggman is staring at a kid Eggman's staring at a kid from a window. Why does he look like Nigel Thornberry? And why is he staring at that kid with such a creepy look on his face? And what the hell does this mean about the chair guy? Oh god.
Here's Johnny! Don't! David Letterman!
Hi, David. I'm Grandpa.
Don't!
Yeah, hint of advice. Don't ever have a character make that face when looking at a kid through a window. That's just very creepy. What are my older thoughts on this comic? Well, Tangle didn't need to be here. I still stand by that Duke Nukem would have been much more fun. Tangle isn't a very interesting character. In certain parts, she acts like Amy, in other parts, she acts like Sally. Because for the first half, it seems like they're actually going to make her a Amy clone, and then she takes a U-turn and kind of turns into Sally a little bit. It doesn't really make her an interesting character at all. And I think she might also be a lesbian. There's just not a whole lot going for her. And if they have to make her a lesbian to make her interesting, fuck that. They tried it once. It destroyed 2 characters. Don't do that again. So if that ends up being the case, what the hell is it with Ian's obsession with lesbians? They're not entertaining. This is a comic that I enjoy, but I wouldn't recommend it simply because it doesn't have a whole lot going for it in terms of its reasons to exist. And the characters just seem so superfluous, especially Blaze, which is just kinda sad since she hasn't quite recovered from Sonic 06. And nothing interesting happens other than they might have revealed who the chair guy is, and if it's Eggman, well, then fuck this comic. However, if they have Big the Cat act like Duke Nukem later, wholeheartedly would recommend this, but this is more or less an issue where this in and out of itself is just another issue that doesn't have a whole lot going for it, and simply isn't interesting enough. It adds nothing new to the Sonic universe, and it doesn't add anything in terms of real value. It's just kind of another cookie-cutter comic. If you want some good Sonic the Hedgehog storytelling, I'd recommend going to pre-160 Archie or the Fleetway comics, because you're not going to get that here. This is not a comic that has any of those guys in mind, and the guy who wrote it has about as much respect for them as he does for his own shit. But if they really wanted to make Tangle an interesting character, they should have done something more than just have her appear for literally no reason. We get no reason to care about this character, and we have no reason to really get invested in her storyline. Because she just leaves like all the other characters that have appeared. There's no reason to care about anyone appearing in this comic except for Sonic. And I know it is called Sonic the Hedgehog, but you could do a little bit more interesting things with the other characters. Because people also do like the other characters, like it or not. Especially Eggman. But I'm also kind of worried about the future because of all this build-up that it ends up amounting to absolutely nothing in the end. And furthermore, if Ian Flynn does what I think he's going to do, and make every single one in this comic a lesbian, except for Amy, then my god, they need to kick him off. Because that is really the worry that I am getting from all of this. Some people might say I'm being a bit irrational, but he did say that he did put Sally X Nicole in the comic book after he said he wasn't going to go through with it. So, yeah, I have every right to be worried about that. That's honestly my biggest concern, because just when you think he's starting to improve, he finds some way to screw it up. That's always my main problem with Ian Flynn, is that he likes to write good when he feels like it, but most of the time he just doesn't feel like it. And so he feels more like just shoving random crap into there that doesn't need to be there, or that doesn't benefit the storyline in any way other than for simple shock value, or political messages for that matter. And my concern is no different here, because my concern is that we'll end up with another 252, but times 1,000. Which would be about 252,000. My only hope at this point is that we get some new writers. No, not that guy. Chris Chan, save us from this nightmare, please. Oh, that's right, I forgot. He completely lost his mind. Well, save something. Also, I'd like to make an announcement that now I am going to start uploading on my second channel, Rhodesian Raccoon. So if you would go on ahead and subscribe to that channel, if you want some new content that's like this. I'll still be using this channel just more or less for digging around, really. So, have a nice day, all of you.